Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Victoria. We're happy to have you with us online today since we are still not open because of the pandemic. But we're just knowing that this is going to be over with very soon and we're all going to be back together again. If you're joining us for the first time, my name is Carrie Hunter and I'm the Spiritual Director of the CSL Victoria. And it's really wonderful to have you here with us today. And I would like to begin today by welcoming our practitioner, Lasia Kohut, to do our opening treatment. Lasia?
Thank you, Reverend Carrie. So I just invite everyone to close their eyes or lower their gaze if it feels comfortable. Allow yourself to just melt into, relax into wherever you are, in a chair, on a couch, in bed, on the floor, and allow yourself the gift of just being present, of being here in this amazing, brand spanking new, infinite moment right here, right now. And so, as I do the same, I am so grateful to know, to remember, to know that in this moment and all moments, there is only one thing going on. This incredible energy, this aliveness of being, this infinite vitality, this infinite potentiality that is the essence, that is the foundation, that is the very inception of all that is. And so I know that as I open myself up to this energy, knowing that everyone on this call, everyone in this community and beyond is at opportunity to do the same, I know that energy continues its flow, continues its nourishment, continues its evolution, its emergence, its expansion. It is what enlivens every single individual here. It is what breathes us, what knows us, what lives us, what becomes us from this moment to the next, to the next, to the next. And so at the dawning of this new day, of this new week, of this new month, of this extraordinary year, I am so grateful to be reminded that once again, every single moment is a new dawn. Every single moment is that clean slate. Every single moment, every single one of us is at choice to choose something new for ourselves, to step into that extraordinary awesomeness that lives us, that breathes us, that knows us, that becomes us, that is always expressing and always becoming more and more and more of itself with every waking moment. And so I know that as that energy continues to express, as that infinite aliveness of being continues to expand each and every individual here, that today's service, today's celebration, today's first celebration is of this year is one of extraordinary magnificence, of wonder, of magic, of majesty, of delight, that every single individual here is ready and willing and excited and enthusiastic about what is to come. And so I know that as that ceremony of taking that white stone and allowing whatever word is ours to be heard, to be activated, to be embraced, to be embodied for the coming year, as that word is already making its way forward, that today's celebration with Reverend Carrie, with Reverend Joanna, with Reverend Rachel in absentia, with every single member of this community who is here, who is listening later on, that this ceremony, that this celebration, that this ritual of being in community together is already a beautiful, brilliant, successful, done deal in universal mind. So, for every single thought, for every single word, for every single action that is already bubbling forth, and for everything that is yet to come, I simply release my word as law, steeped in gratitude, knowing that my word is dynamic, it is creative, it is definitive, and that everything is unfolding with absolute spiritual perfection now, today, and always. I release, I let go, and I remember who and what I am, and that this energy is what continues to unfold, to unfurl every single moment, the newness, the freshness of each and every individual here. I release, I let go, and I invite everyone to affirm this knowing, affirm this truth, affirm this celebration with me by saying, and so it
And
is.
so it is. Oh, thank you so much, Lasia. And again, happy New Year to everyone. I don't know about you, but at midnight on January 31st, I kind of felt this exhilaration And a few people had said to me, did you feel relieved at New Year's? And I said, well, I wasn't thinking about relief so much as I was just exhilarated that the old year was behind. And there was, excuse me, there was this wonderful new year ahead of us. And with so much potential, so many opportunities that are there for us, if we but think that way. And I had several people call me or send me cards saying, you've had such a dreadful year. I really hope that your new year is better. And I was sitting thinking, I didn't have a dreadful year. What was that all about? And one person I was talking to said, well, you couldn't walk for a few months on crutches and you had to have emergency surgery on both your eyes. And I said, yeah, but I got everything done that I needed to get done, and I can see, my eyes are perfect. I could have been blind. I mean, I just feel so blessed. And one friend said, oh, you're always such a Pollyanna. And I said, well, it's just that I am so grateful. And I think that for all of us during this past year, and with what we have basically endured with the pandemic, we've come to become grateful for so many things in our lives. I mean, I'm grateful for health, but I'm grateful for so many simple things, and possibly things that I might not have thought about before. And I think perhaps this time has been one of greater introspection, and a time where we can look at the things around us that bring us joy, that bring us happiness in simple ways. And over the holidays, I was feeling so joyful and so happy. And I really, really wish that from my heart of sacred hearts for every one of you coming into this year and throughout the year to find that joy and that happiness every day in your life. Let this just be a time of rising up above what we perceive our problems to be, the challenges, the difficulties, because we do know that the way that we think is what is going to really make a difference for us in our lives. And so today, Centers for Spiritual Living around the world are going back to basics. We do that every January. And really, it's a matter of getting back to what the foundations of our teaching might be. The thing is that if we are not conscious of the foundations all the time, then we're not manifesting things in our lives the way that we want to. And I would equate that to having cracks in the foundation. And so this is the month when we get to fill up those cracks and to start remembering the process for creating happier and healthier lives. As Ernest Holmes always said, there's a power for good in the universe and you get to use it. And so the way that we use it is what is really important. And our first talk in this series, of course, is the thing itself, which is the first chapter in the Science of Mind textbook. And the second one is the way it works, and the third is what it does, and the fourth is how to use it. And so we'll be going through those things again during the weeks ahead. But today we're focusing upon God. And I love what Elizabeth Gilbert said, and I've repeated it a few times, and that is, run toward God like a man with his head on fire runs toward water. That it's so important for us to stay connected to the divine, to what Ernest Holmes called the thing itself. And it's that creative mind that lives and moves and has its being in each of us. It's what powers us. It's what powers our thoughts into being. It's what moves the universe at warp speed, ever expanding. And if the universe is ever expanding, that's something like 1,000,000 miles a minute, which is incomprehensible. We too have the possibility of expanding our minds, expanding our hearts, expanding our nature, expanding our awareness of God, of this divine entity that is within us, that is us, that we were born with. We really need to remember that we can't just pay lip service to this. We can't just say, well, oh yeah, I know that I'm a wonderful expression of God. I know that this power is within me, and then go about our lives as if it doesn't really make any difference, and then wondering why our lives perhaps are not working the way that we would like them to work. So we We know about our thoughts. We know about the power of positive thinking. We know about the power of being focused, laser focused on what it is that we want. And so we tend to think about a whole lot of things all of the time, but only focus upon what's really important to us once in a while. And the thing is that science says that we have about 16,000 thoughts per day, and most of them are repetitious. And so it's important to see what those repetitious thoughts might be, because if they're not positive, then we're spending more time creating negativity in our lives than we are positive things. And it's really, really time for us to be conscious, to think about what it is that we're thinking about. And the thing is, the brain is not our mind. The brain is an organ of thought. Your creative mind is not your brain. The mind is unlimited. It is infinite. It is everywhere. But our brains are limited. And so we need to open up to creative mind, which is God, which is spirit, which is that power within us. And when we are open to that, then creative mind is at work. And that's when we use our laser thoughts to put something into it. And my talk today is called Your Inner GPS. And of course, most of us are using GPS in our cars or Siri on our phones, or some method of programming our way to different places that we want to go. We know that if we input an address, we're very likely going to arrive at that address with the help of GPS or with Siri or with some other system that is on our phones, mostly on our mobile phones these days. And it's such a comforting thought, and it makes driving almost stress-free, because we don't have to worry about whether we're going to get to that address that we've never been to before. Well, for me, our inner GPS is our inner God positioning system. And so in the same way that we would program our GPS for our cars, we program our inner GPS for our lives. And it's important for us to remember that this is possible. And here we are, this brand new year, and as Lasia said in her treatment, a brand new slate. We can start programming that right now. We can program the address of where we want to go this year in our lives. And that address doesn't have to be a numerical address in a house or a building somewhere. It can in fact be, or it should in fact be, the things we wish to achieve, the places we want to go. Remember Dr. Seuss, oh, the places you will go. For us to sit back and do some dreaming, some major dreaming, some daydreaming, some imagining of what the wonderful places we want to go in our lives this year. And that hopefully is wonderful health and happiness and prosperity. And it may mean different things for different people, but what does it mean for you? And whatever it means for you, just start programming that inner GPS with it and seeing it happen, and be as stress-free as you do that as you are when you're in your car and you program the GPS for an address somewhere in the city, somewhere far away. Know that it works. It works perfectly all the time. And we need to just focus upon what it is that we want to have materialize. I know I say it a lot, but this time of year, as we are looking at our new year ahead, it's a really good time for us to remember this. And so if we can put our busy brains out of the way a little bit and just allow creative mind to have full power, to express the full power that we have within us, we're going to go wonderful places this year, and hopefully we're going to all do it together as well as individually. And Ernest Holmes, of course, said, there is only one life. There's only one life, and that life is God. And that life is perfect. And that life is my life now. It is, and that life is your life now too. So there's only one life. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that there's only one woman or one man or one child. it means that there is one power and that we are all connected to one another with that power because it is in us and through us. It is the life force. It's the life force in us. It's the life force in the trees that you see outside your window. It's the life force in the grass. It's the life force in the flowers. It's a life force in every single thing. And so it cannot be anywhere separate from any of us. It's what binds us together. It is that power within that we are all connected to, that fills each of us, that is each of us, and that makes us one. And the thing is that Dr. Holmes said that, there was something there before we were born, something before we came into being, something before this earth came into being, before the planets, before the stars, the cosmos. There was something there. And scientists have said throughout many, many years now that, that they come across wonderful discoveries and they can tell us how things work. But when somebody asks how it all happened, they pause and say, well, there seems to be some kind of intelligence. So let us remember that there is this intelligent universe. There is this intelligence that is there. There is that power that was there before us that knew only to create. And as it knows only to create, and as it lives in us, we know only to create as well. And we are doing that all the time. We're just not always aware of it because we may not like very much what it is that we're creating. As my English teacher used to say, every dog has its day and some have their weekends. We have our times of great joy and calm and grace in our lives. And then from time to time, we slip out of that and we go into stressful times. So this is a time to, again, remember that we have the power to make a difference in our own lives and also in the lives of others everywhere. We don't have to sit around and think about our breath or our hearts. We are breathed. We are breathed by God. We're not sitting here saying, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. God is breathing us. We don't have to tell our hearts to pump, 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 pump. They know what to do. They are pumping. The heartbeat of the universe is within us, is beating within us. And so there's so many things that we can put aside with the total knowledge that they are happening, not just our bodies and not just our breath, not just our heartbeats, but the things that we really desire in our lives. When we do that inner programming on that inner GPS, then things are starting to happen for us. They're starting to materialize. And when Inner Home says that life is perfect, that life is perfect. And we might say to ourselves, well, I don't know how perfect this is. This isn't feeling very good to me right now. The thing is that the universe, God, this power, always works perfectly. And so if we're having happy, positive thoughts, then we are creating happiness and joy in our lives and creating a life that we want to live. It works perfectly. If we are having negative thoughts and thinking about, poor me, or feeling victimized or angry or lacking forgiveness, whatever it might be, then we are creating those things perfectly in our lives as well. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. Really interesting to think about those words and to think about what they mean to you, what they mean to all of us. I remember the great Kennedy Schultz, Dr. Kennedy Schultz, who was an outrageously brilliant, funny minister who was in our teaching for many, many years before he passed. And he was once the president of Centers for Spiritual Living Worldwide. This is many years ago now. And he used to say that, we often don't believe that we have enough faith to make things happen. And that's kind of interesting too to consider. Do we have enough faith to make it happen? You know, it's not like there's a big punch bowl over there that's filled with faith where we can take a ladle and spoon it out and put it in a cup and drink it and then be filled up with it. And we can't order it on Amazon, and we can't get our doctors to write a prescription for it. You know, faith is, and the thing is, as I said, with our lives being perfect, because our thoughts are manifesting perfectly for good or for bad, it's the same thing with faith. If you have faith in all that is good, then good is going to prevail. And if we say we don't have faith, if we think that we don't have faith, that life is a challenge, that everything around us is difficult, that we lack success, we lack prosperity, we lack good health, any of those things, think about it. That's where our faith is. We're having faith that those are the things that are going to keep happening in our lives. And so it's really important for us right now to think about this and to rise above this, especially here in this brand new year, and to know that as something seems to happen in us, something bubbles up that says it's brand new, I can do new things, for us to in our minds hold positive, successful thoughts in our lives, and to be constantly connecting with God. It's so easy to forget. It's easy to get up and let our days run away with us. But if we start first thing in the morning with Good Morning God, and even spend a few minutes communicating, running toward God instead of running away from, running toward that power, running toward the light, it's going to make an enormous difference in our lives. And it's during those times of communication with the divine that we can kind of order up what we want our lives to look like. It's kind of like this vast menu that's there before us in this new year. And we can go through that menu and say, oh, I'll have some of that and some of that, and I'd like some of this as well, and I'd like a really generous helping of this one. We can do that. And as we do that, and as we feel it and say, I'll just have some of that and I'll have it right now, things begin to unfold for us in the most perfect ways. And so having the faith that they will helps us to move forward with that grand design. There's a crazy country and Western song that I heard on the radio years ago as I was driving my car. You've probably all heard it. It's called Jesus on the Main Line and Tell Him What You Want. It's like that. It's like, dialing up God. The thing is, as I've said before, our God is a local call. We tend to think that God is in some distant place. And when we forget that it is indwelling in us, that each of us is an expression of God, we're looking somewhere else for this being, this entity, this intelligence, this power. And we don't have to look anywhere else but to ourselves. I know I mentioned this years ago, or not years ago, but I think probably in the last year or so. I read somewhere a funny story, not a true story, about Billy Graham, the late Billy Graham. And the story went that when he was alive, of course, that he went to the Vatican to visit the Pope. And he was sitting across from the Pope, and they were having a wonderful spiritual conversation. And he noticed that there was this big red telephone on the Pope's desk, and he asked the Pope what it was. And he said, oh, that's my hotline to God, my direct line. And Billy Graham said, I've never heard of such a thing. That's amazing. Do you use it very often? And the Pope said, well, no, because, it costs $10,000 a minute. So I need to be really careful about what it is that I want to say. And when I phone, I have to be very direct, and I have to get my point across very quickly, because I don't want to be running up enormous telephone bills to God. And Billy Graham thought that was quite amazing, but certainly was very expensive and was not something that he really would want to have in his desk. Anyway, he was making a world tour, and he came across Canada and stopped in Kelowna. And he went to see Dr. Ken Gordon, who was the spiritual director for Centers for Spiritual Living Worldwide, and we all know and love Ken. And he was talking to Ken, and then all of a sudden he noticed that Ken had the same red telephone on his desk. And he said to Ken, "Is that a direct line to God?" And Ken said, "Yes." And so Billy said, "Well, do you use it very often?" And he said, "I use it every day. I use it several times a day." And Billy Graham's jaw dropped, and he said, "My goodness, it's so expensive. Pope has one, and it's $10,000 a minute." And Ken, without missing a beat, looked at him and said, "For people for spiritual living, it's a local call." And I just love that. I love that, that we have a direct line to God. Always. Not just some of the time, but always. We let ourselves get in the way. We let our brains get in the way. Those busy, busy brains, where instead we can just always go within. Think of how peaceful it was this morning during that beautiful meditation with Reverend Joanna, and how peaceful we feel when we are in the quiet, in the silence, in the silence where there are many answers. And so if you're not sure what it is that you want to manifest this year, take some time to sit in the silence and listen to what God has to say to you through you about what you want to do this year, what you want to manifest in your life this year, how you want it to look, how you want it to be, and who you want to spend it with. And pray that we're all together again very soon without masks, because we won't have to wear masks, because we will be safe. Let us see this virus just being given the boot right here, right now, and look forward to a grand and glorious experiment using the power within us, the power that is always there, the intelligence that is always there, the wisdom. And when we're using our wisdom, we're not going into negative faith or negative beliefs. We are going into the place where we can have the most glorious, magnificent lives. I wish that for each one of you this year as we go into it. And I just give thanks for each of you and send you love and blessings in this new year. And so it is. And right now, I would like you to go into some silence again. We're going to do a brief meditation for you to pick up your word for your white stone this year. So I just invite you all to take a nice cleansing breath and to just feel peaceful and calm. Know that there is no work to be done here. There is a great intelligence at work. It is at work in your heart, in your mind. The universal mind is sending you your word for this year. And you let everything else go. And you know that the very first word that comes into your mind is the word for you this year. And as I said earlier, before we began the service today, I didn't really like the word I got last year, but when I looked at it again and kept it on my desk every day, I could see the power in that word, and I could see how much it helped me this year. And so it may not be the word that we think we want, but it's going to be the word that we need for this coming year. And so let us sit in a time of perfect silence just for a minute or two and listen for our word. Okay, by now everyone should have a word, and I invite you to write it down when we finish the service today, to put it on a rock if you do have your rock, and if not, write it down so that you can do that when you do have one. And if you want to transfer it to a Jerusalem rock, when we open our doors again, I will bring the box with me, and you can choose one from there as well and transfer it from there. And so thank you for being with us today. And I invite you all, if you haven't yet filled out your pledge forms, you've all got them in the mail, and invite you to fill those out and send them along, or to make a phone call and let us know what it is. If you would like to have a form for automatic debit for the credit union, just let me know and I'll send you that form. And of course, you can always e-transfer to Rev Carrie at cslvictoria.org. And I then immediately let Lillian, our treasurer, know, and I make that deposit in our bank account. So it's just the way that we need to do it during this time. And I thank you all for your generosity. You are the ones who make it all possible. We wouldn't be meeting at all if it weren't for you. We wouldn't have the wonderful facility that we have now. We are growing, and not just growing in numbers, but growing in consciousness, growing in love. And I have so much love for each one of you. I'm so grateful for you in my life. And I send you all heartfelt blessings and virtual hug today as we go into a closing blessing. And just know with me that this intelligence, this powerful presence, this oneness that we are, this perfection that we are, that is each one of us, that connects each of us to the other, is there with us every moment of every day. All we need to do is to stop, tune in. It's like turning on the switch, turning on a switch on a radio, on a TV set, on our computers, on our cell phones, whatever it happens to be. God is more present than that, closer than our breath, closer than our heartbeat. God is our breath. God is our heartbeat. And as we go forward into this week and into this wonderful new year, I know that each of us feels the blessing in our lives and is grateful, and that we express our gratitude because it's the greatest way to bring more joy into our lives. And so we go forward this week joyfully experiencing the wonders of life, the goodness of life, knowing that we are richly blessed, knowing that we are filled with faith, and consciously directing our faith the way that it needs to go. God bless you all. I love you all. Remember that you are love itself in expression, and so it is.